This is section 7 of Unit 3, Average Daily Balance. The quote for this section is, "The best way to deal with credit card debt is to educate yourself." And I guess that makes sense. The more you're educated in terms of credit cards and the uses, the less likely you'll get in huge credit card debt. Some of the objectives for this unit are to calculate the average daily balance using the credit calendar. I know we've talked about average daily balance, but here we're going to go into a little bit more detail. And then calculate the finance charge using the credit calendar. Here are some key terms that we'll be discussing in this section. First of all is the credit calendar. This is a visual accounting of the purchases, payments, and balances for each day of the billing cycle. Next is the billing date. This is the date that a credit card statement was written. Next is the minimum payment warning box. This is a box on the credit card statement to show how long it would take for the balance to be paid off if only the minimum payment was made and no extra charges put on the account. And then lastly, negative amortization, or neg-am as it's sometimes referred to. When the minimum payment is less than the interest that is being charged, so the amount owed increases rather than decreases. This usually doesn't happen, but it could, okay, where the minimum payment is less than the interest that's being charged. All right, here's example 1. They want us to use the information given in Elena K's credit card statement to verify the accuracy of her average daily balance. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the calendar technique to take and verify this. So we've got all this information here, and we're going to verify the accuracy of her average daily balance. So the first thing we're going to do is set up a calendar. And basically it's going to run from the start of her billing cycle to the end. And notice we've blocked off days. It starts on the 14th, okay, of October. And it goes through the beginning of November and ends on November 13th. So we basically got a calendar here showing the dates, actual dates of her billing cycle. So the next thing we're going to do is add any activity that happened during this billing cycle, purchases or payments. And notice on the 25th of October, she made a purchase of $67, so we put that as a plus 67. On the 29th, she made another purchase of $55, so again, we say plus 55 on the 29th. And then on November 5th, she made a payment of $160. Since this was a payment, we mark it as minus 160. All right, so now we start adding in the average daily balance, so the balance at the beginning of the billing cycle. And notice we start off with, at the beginning of the billing cycle, her balance was $829.30. And it remained this way all the way through the 24th of October. So we add $829.30 to each block all the way up to the 24th of October. Now, let's look at what happens on the 25th of October. Remember, she made a purchase of $67. So now the average daily balance increased. It was $829.30, now it's $896.30. And it remains $896.30 all the way through the 28th. Now notice the 29th, she made another purchase. So let's see how we deal with that. So on the 29th, she made another purchase of $55. Again, we increased the average daily balance to $951.30, all right? And we kept it at $951.30 all the way through the 4th of November. Now, notice the 5th of November, she made a payment. So let's see how that affects it. So on the 5th of November, she makes a payment of $160, but notice that's a minus So we subtract it from the $951.30. So now her balance is $791.30, and it remains the same all the way through the end of the billing cycle, $791.30. That's all the way through to the 13th. So now we're going to add up each of these individual days, the balance on that day. So we start with $829.30, and we add up all of these balances all the way through to $791.30, and that gives us $26,488.50, and we divide it by the number of days in the billing cycle, which in this case was 31. And we come out with her average daily balance of $854.46. So now let's look at example 2, and this should be somewhat familiar to you already from what we've already been discussing in class. Is there a better time during the billing cycle when she could have made her payment so that the average daily balance would have been less? And the answer, of course, is payments made earlier in the billing cycle would have decreased her average daily balance, and as a result, her finance charge. So here, don't forget, we're talking about payments, okay? Not purchases, payments. So payments made earlier in the billing cycle would have decreased her average daily balance and, as a result, her finance charge. Now, example 3, determine the finance charge for Elena's billing cycle. So to do that, we simply take the average daily balance, okay, and we multiply it by the monthly interest rate. So we've previously figured out that her average daily balance was $854.46, and we're going to multiply it by the monthly, don't forget, this is the monthly interest rate as a decimal. So that's 0.01415, because her monthly interest rate is 1.415%. And we come out with her finance charge of $12.09. Now here's another example that you probably should already know the answer to. When might Elena have made her purchases during the billing cycle in order to decrease her finance charges? So here we're talking about purchases during the billing cycle. And obviously the answer is purchases, not payments now, purchases made later in the billing cycle would have decreased her average daily balance and as a result her finance charge. So now let's look at example 5. Alex found an old credit card statement that was sent to him before the enactment of the Credit Card Act. He had no previous balance, charged $4,000 that month. His credit card account had a monthly percentage rate of 1.5%. He made no additional purchases during the billing cycle. A minimum of $20 was required as a monthly payment. How long would it have taken Alex to pay down his debt if he had continued to pay only the minimum amount without making any further credit card purchases? All right, so let's look at this. So he had a balance of $4,000 and he made a payment of $20. So now his balance was down to $39.80. Okay, his interest on that, don't forget his monthly interest rate is 1.5%. So his interest on that would have been $59.70. Okay? Now, that meant his balance, he added that to the $39.80, his new balance would have been $4,039.70. He made a payment of $20 on that, and it was down to $4,019.70. And he made an interest payment on that, and notice the interest payment is now $60.30. Notice what's happening here. First of all, his balance is increasing, all right? And his finance charge here, right here, it starts out at $59.70. Now it's $60.30. So basically, he's never going to get this paid down because his balance is going to be increasing. The $20 is not enough, all right, to take and bring down the balance so that he would ever get this paid off.